did you kind of feel about the weekend? Obviously, getting your first Pac-12 win out there against UCLA.
I felt really good. Excuse me. I felt like it was a team that we could compete with from beginning to end, and that proved to be true. And I think the players enjoyed it. The crowd was amazing, which made things a lot easier for them. They enjoyed playing in front of a big crowd, but who wouldn't, right? No, felt really good about it.
I mean, it's kind of a top-heavy, bottom-heavy league right now. Do you feel like you're one good weekend away from potentially being at least back in the top half?
I think that each match will bring something different in terms of what we need to be prepared for. So every day in practice, we're preparing for the opponents that are coming up, the things that their strengths, and try to play off with that with our strengths. And so I think that every match that we play could be a match we could win, but it could also be a match that we struggle with. I never like to say that we lose because you don't really lose if you're learning what's going on. So I do think that we're going into another tough weekend. I mean, playing Oregon, who's ranked in the top 5 right now, and then, how do we handle ourselves against a team that's unfortunately at the bottom of the league right now, but hungry and at home. So I consider that match the same way as if we were playing Stanford.
And what was it on Friday night that allowed you guys to finish? Because that's been the issue, right? Like, you've been in a lot of these matches, and you just didn't finish. What was it about that?
Part of it is just the confidence and the ability to know that you can, because if you remember at the end, we're still fighting. And we had a little lead, and we had to kind of rally the troops back together. But the comforting piece for them, and I don't know that they know it, but I know it, is because we were already up. And so if we were down, would we have fought the same way? I would like to hope so, but you don't know until you're in that situation. So we've tried to duplicate everything that takes place in a match in practice and some. And so today we were doing this drill, and I'm giggling because it allowed them to have to follow instructions and then get to a certain point, and then they had to learn to be cooperative at that middle part, and then they had to compete at the end. And so we were fine once we got to be cooperative, and we competed well. But that beginning part was a total nightmare. And so I talked them through it and kind of pointed it out, and they're like, yeah, you're right. And part of that is because we're still trying to find, and I think it'll be this way all season, trying to find that leader that is able to put the team on their back, but say it in advance. So in the one of the matches this weekend, I can't really remember, it was USC actually, I challenged Sophia and Jalen to up their game, because in the first set, I think Jalen had 2 kills, 2 errors. Sophia had 7 kills, 7 errors. I said, you guys, y'all got to step up your game. We need you to be able to do that. And they literally was like, okay. And I thought they did it from that point on to the best of their abilities. Some of that stuff is not in their control, but they would never say that on their own. They may want to say it, or they may think it or feel it, but they're not comfortable saying those words out loud. And so it's kind of giving them the words that they need, which will prepare us better for this coming weekend. But had we not went through the things we've gone through, I don't know that they would have felt they could, or that it was okay to do that. Yeah, it's just a little different. I'm not really sure. Still trying to figure it out, put it that way.
I guess when you say that, I mean, obviously they're both advanced players, seniors. Do you feel like you shouldn't have to say that to those two because they should be?
In a lot of ways, I don't think I should have to say a lot of things, but unfortunately, we have to. And it's for various reasons. It could be because you've come off a bad weekend, or because you're battling being sick, or dealing with injuries, or dealing with the fact that you have self-doubt. No one says that out loud. Like, if you pull them aside and it's like, no, I got this. But can you go tell them you got this? I don't know, because, people are afraid of being evaluated. So it's kind of like putting out there that I wanted us to go to the tournament this year. Everything that we do is with that in mind. And people were like, you shouldn't say that, Rita, because if you don't go, you fall short. Well, I'm like, okay, we don't go, but it's not going to be because I'm afraid of the moment of going, or afraid to do what's necessary to go. And that's what I'm trying to instill in the players.
In terms of, like you just mentioned, the tournament, does there become a point where you don't think about that anymore and you start turning the page to the steps we need to take to get better going into next year?
I think they're hand in hand. I don't think you change anything about it. You don't all of a sudden tailor off and say, okay, let's just do this and deal with poor performances on the floor. No, in the name of preparing someone, I don't subscribe to that type of thinking. I think everything you do it with your foot on the pedal and you go, and you learn through those situations. I think if you are saying at a certain point that now, because we can't go to the tournament, we're gonna operate this way, I think that's putting a negative thought in their head, because then the next year, you start out and you don't start out well. Okay, well, last year we did the same thing and we weren't gonna go. No, we're gonna fight and we're gonna do everything to the end, and we're gonna treat it like we're going regardless.
So today you did that drill.
Mhm.
What were you, I'm sure you've tried a lot of other things up to this point. What kind of things did you try till you got to this point?
Allowing them to think a little bit on their own. In hindsight, if I go back and go, maybe I waited too long not to give them information, but I want the team to be a player-led team, and then you have total buy-in that way. But if every time they do something, I'm questioning and stopping and critiquing, now they're no longer thinking on their own. They're waiting to see what I'm thinking or how I feel. So then it puts more pressure on me, because I can't even react. I gotta be like this every time, because otherwise they'll play off of what's going on. So that's part of it. And then putting certain players in positions to see if they were able to handle it or whatnot. And so we've changed our defense a little bit to kind of help Anna out, which I think has been the answer to why she's gotten better, is like not as much thinking and forced to do something else to then be ready to set. And then you start winning back and go.
You've had 3 of those 5-set losses at home. Is there a common frustration in why you weren't able to close out?
Anytime we lose, there's a frustration that I can't even explain. And for me, it's, once again, I don't ever really look at it as losing. I know it's a L in the column. For me, if it's an opportunity to get better, then we've won. So you have to have, when you have a group of kids that are learning, you have to have victories along the way. It can't just be win or lose, because that's how their brain works anyway. For me, it's, okay, let's win this battle. Let's be the first one to get them to call timeout. Let's get them to get frustrated. Let's have them put in their subs because they think that we've given up, and then kill the subs and then make them put their people back in. It's with that mindset, so that they know that they can win, because at the end of the day, they know if they're playing against someone that's not good. I mean, I don't care what I say. They know, oh, that kid's not that good. And then they evaluate that person based on who they are. And I want to take all of that out. It's like, let's be a champion from beginning to end. And while of the 5, I would say the Washington State is probably the one that's sitting with me the longest, because to me that match could have gone in 3. But we didn't do the right things, and so you started seeing their fears creep in along the way. And so I didn't feel that in a USC match. And so I think we grew in a different way in that situation.
And what was it like for you to get that Pac-12 win, that first one?
I mean, literally in the 4th set, my back was sweating. I mean, sweat was dripping down my back. And at one point, I'm like, oh, okay, calm down, Rita, calm down. I want it for them. You know, I think for me, I'm fine, because I believe we're taking the steps to go in the right direction. You know, if this were the beginning of November and we hadn't had a win, then it's like they're thinking we can't do it. And so it's like everything that we do is, for me, is for them to believe in themselves, or for them to believe in the team, or to believe that we can still do it, because we still are in a great position. We just can't allow things just to keep happening. We have to be more in control of that. And if I'm teaching them that piece, I can't put the pressure on, like, okay, we got to get this win, we got to get this win. Their brains don't work like that. Mine barely work that way, so.
And I'm sure you had a lot of, I'm sure your phone blew up.
Yes.
What were some of the, like, the top things that you'll always remember? Maybe someone special saying, you know, you're on the right track, or whatever it is, and just congratulate them.
You know, the season ticket holders have been blowing up my email, and, you know, they don't have my phone number, so they've been blowing up my email in a good way, just saying, Rita, we see the difference you're making, because they hear the intimate information that I'm sharing in terms of, this is what we're doing. Yes, we're working on Anna dumping. Yes, we're working on Anna dumping. She knows it, she feels it, but they are saying, we see it. We've seen it from beginning to end. The team was not fighting and balls would hit the floor in the beginning. Now you can see the tenacity that they have, and the desire and the passion they have. And then I share that with the team, because it's not really for me. It's nice to hear, because I can give them information that comes from another source. So just hearing that, I just walked back and someone was like, oh, that match on Friday, I saw it. It was awesome. It was great. And so they've kind of not even thought about Sunday. And I'm like, well, did you see Sunday? So it's just the constant reminder that we are doing the right thing and we are young. I shared that with the season ticket holders. The only two people that played full-time nonstop was Jalen and Sophia, and Elena was in the middle. But Anna just served last year. You know what I mean? So you have people doing different things that they haven't done in the past, and there's a period for them understanding and learning and giving themselves grace. They don't always do that. And so it makes coaching hard because they're beating themselves up, and so now I gotta, you're okay, you're okay, you're okay, which I tell them all the time, that's not what coaches want to do at the end of the day. We'll do it, but I want to do X's and O's. I want to have my brain have to think about how to score against this kid and, and those type of things. Whereas now I got to make sure you feel okay. That's not fair. And I've had that conversation with a couple people several times.
You've really, the fan base has been tremendous for you, and I've seen it grow and everything. What have you done to sort of help them get behind you this year? Because, you're starting out, and it's not a rebuild, but you're new.
Correct.
New in this position.
Correct.
Because you've been here
Right. Forever.
quite some time. Yeah.
I think that meant I was old just there, but that's okay.
I didn't think that. You started when you were about 2, so.
You're so sweet. I went and talked to Zona Zoo on a Sunday, and I was the first head coach to do it. And they just wanted to know who I was. And I kind of told them my story, how I got to college and how it was a nightmare and how, Dave and I used to go at it and, but I'm still here, I'm still standing. And so in this generation, in this day and age, everyone wants something that they can latch onto to make me want to follow you. And so for me, it's being that person, which was probably the thing I wanted the most, but it's also my biggest fear is that I don't get to be Rita in this role because I'm the head coach, and I used to have this idea that a head coach had to operate a certain way, and I was like, that's just not me. It's stuffy in a lot of ways, and I will laugh at things I probably shouldn't laugh at, but if it's funny, I'm gonna laugh. I'm gonna enjoy myself, and I want the players to do that. And so how I carry myself is with that, So if they do something great, if I were a player on the court, I would celebrate. So as a coach, I believe I should celebrate during that time to let them know it's okay. If something doesn't go the way that it needs to go, I need to be able to say, okay, dog, that was really bad. And say it in that way versus looking for this special, glorified head coach way of saying it, but also being able to hold them accountable. So when I go out and talk and do those different things, I share that story all the time. So I did the mixology, which was a lot of fun because I don't drink. And so I got to make this drink and get people to kind of buy it. And at the end, I started singing. I don't know where it came from, but I had my husband put on I Will Survive. I said, follow me with the words, because I don't even know the words to the whole song. And then everyone kind of got in. So I think the more the community and people understand who I am, they'll know that's the type of people that thrive and around me. So those are the type of athletes I'm coming in. So this makes it a little bit more exciting to know because I'm out and putting myself out there.
Just a uniform question. I noticed that some of the players this year were full tights versus just shorts.
Mm-hmm.
How does that work? In terms of
The NCAA changed it, I want to say it's 2 years now, maybe 3, but 2 years for sure that you can start wearing tights. And it's just more comfortable. Spandex are not fun to be in. I mean, and I'm gonna be honest, some people look good in them and some people don't. So, if you're not feel good, you're not gonna play good. So it's like play what you feel comfortable in. And for the international people, they're just always cold. So you'll see they're typically, like Sophia loves wearing them or whatnot. But there's just a sense of comfort there, and you don't have to worry about pulling them down all the time. Got to pull them up sometimes.
We talked a lot about the mental part of the game, obviously. What's the message going into the road trip this week?
To go out and have fun. I've said this message from beginning to end, and I say fun, not knowing what fun is. I'm the first one to tell you I have no idea what fun is. We win, it's fun. We don't win, it's not fun to me. But for them, whatever their fun is, but it's to compete from beginning to end, knowing that whatever team we're playing against, wherever we are, we can fight through it and we can go if we stay together as a unit. But if we go in as individuals, we're going to be in trouble. So.
And on these road trips, do you guys have any outside activities or anything you do to bond?
Every road trip, we change our attire. And so last time we traveled was twins. So you had to find someone on the team to dress alike, which was kind of fun. Tomorrow is Rep Your Hometown. So it's going to be people wearing what they were, where they're from, which is going to be kind of interesting. We will go to a mall. Just depends on, every campus isn't necessarily city friendly in terms of activities, and sometimes it's a little bit about what time we have practice on that Saturday, because that's the day that we actually would do something, but, because it's a business trip otherwise. So we are going to go out and eat and find something to do in Corvallis.
Do you have an idea, like, what the number is in terms of where you would need to be to make the tournament at this point?
You have to be over 500, so that's the first thing. So that's our first task at hand, is to get ourselves to a position where we can be over 500. The other piece is you have to have the right number of wins. Our conference is competitive enough that we will get, should we beat some of these teams, we have the RPI that we need. So you have to be at least in the 40s to be in consideration for it.
Since we're from the same place, I'd love to know what you're going to rep on your hometown.
I actually had to order a sweatshirt because I didn't have it. I mean, I have stuff from high school, but my high school colors are maroon and gold, and I'm just not putting that on. Y'all know what I mean there?
Which means you can't rep the Cavs either.
That's right. So it's a sweatshirt that has the landscape of downtown on it with Cleveland across. So pretty excited to wear that, and we're going up into cold weather, so it's a sweatshirt that I'll probably have on all weekend.
When you first were looking at Jordan and to bring her in here, what did you see from her and what is she giving you now?
I can honestly say I never looked to bring Jordan in here. Jordan, when she wanted to transfer, it was with a no-brainer. So there was no thought process prior to her making a decision, because I was surprised. Pleasantly surprised, but surprised. But I just knew how physical she was and how much of a competitor. She's actually, her competitive nature is a piece that we needed. And because she is good enough and she's won at different levels and understands what winning is, she's allowed to be more competitive than others. So sometimes if you've never come from a winning environment, you don't know what it feels like to win. You don't know that it's comfortable to still be aggressive and maybe talk a little trash every now and again, because you're not used to being in that position. And Jordan knows it. I mean, she's come into her own in terms of owning her spot and what she's doing out there. But there's pieces that we're working on. The question was, can we get Jordan in the back row? And that'll be a development there, because part of it is not just passing, but it's also the ability to play defense, which I know in the future she's going to be great at it. But it just takes a little bit more reps, and unfortunately you don't get a time to train enough in the fall. You have to kind of wait till the spring to get that in.
And how has she helped her teammates?
She's allowed them to be better as well. She's forcing them to be better. Oh, Jordan did that? I'm going to do that as well. Oh, Jordan did that? I'm going to do it as well. So it's not just Sophia who had a tremendous game. Like from when she first came in to now, she has every shot. She understands it. She sees it. It doesn't always work out, but I know for a fact what she's trying to do every single time. And as a coach, that's what you want. And so, and then as Jalen was developing, and now she's developed into a full 6 rotation player, it's like now I can relax, because there's another body out there that can do what I was able to do, that and sometimes can do it a little bit different than me, which is needed. So the key for us is always to have those 3 pins on. If they're on, then we're in a position where we can win a lot of matches.